Hi, it's Uwe Boll and you're watching loadingreadyrun.com.
Good day, Graham here from loadingreadyrun.com. I recently had an opportunity to sit down with film director Uwe Boll and ask him some questions. Now, he's a man who's been the butt of a couple of our jokes over the years, but rather than use the opportunity to fling insults at his movies, we thought it'd be more interesting to try and get to talk to the man behind the internet furor, and the result is the, in my opinion, fascinating interview that you're about to see. For better or for worse, it probably won't change your opinion of his movies, but it might change your opinion of the man himself. It sure did for me.
I just wanted to ask you some more stuff about, about where you sort of came from and how you got into stuff. So, like, what was the movie you saw that made you want to direct?
There were like a lot of movies. I looked movies since I was like 6-7 years old. I walked to our local theater. I looked a lot of movies in TV at this point. And I think it was Mutiny of the Bounty with Marlon Brando. But like all the exotic adventure stuff where I thought like I was 10 and I think after that movie I told my mother I want to make movies.
Or what would you say are, from your perspective, 5 things that every movie should have?
I think every movie should be entertaining, not boring. It should have an edge. It should have believable actors so that you believe the characters. And then the rest is kind of open, right? So as an advice for a filmmaker, is only what I would give is to stick to your plan, what you have in your mind about the movie, and then you try to motivate everybody else to work with your vision, like that they are motivated to finish the movie you want to make and not motivated to finish another movie.
Unfortunately, I can't have you film on here.
Oh.
What?
Starbucks policy, yeah.
Oh.
But we don't see Starbucks, look.
I'm just bound by my own rules, so...
Where do we go
Let's see
then?
where we can go. We can go somewhere. I made so many movies here that I fell in love with the city, and I'm married to a Vancouver girl. So, oops. Fuck. But there is a park. Hi. Is there any access to the park?
No, it's a dead end.
We have to go around, right?
Yeah.
So what is a shorter cut? Left or here and then right?
Probably that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been kicked out of the Starbucks.
Yeah.
Because...
Starbucks policy.
Yeah, apparently.
They would know that I'm the best Starbucks customer maybe in Vancouver and Kitsilano in the last 10 years.
You go there a lot?
Yeah, I think every day, at least one time. So they made a lot of money on me, but now I have to reconsider. Yeah.
Postal is only getting released on, is it 4 screens or something?
And now we have 8 screens.
8, okay.
So it grows a little, and of course we're fighting for more screens. But it is totally disappointing what's going on with Postal. But
Why do you think that is?
No, it's a political boycott. Like all the US exhibitors are very conservative, Bush-driven, right corner people, and they don't want to show it. Because you see here in Postal, Bush and Bin Laden are good friends and they working together. It's actually living together. And so all that stuff, so it's of course it's totally over the top and absurd, but I think the difference between a Postal and a Naked Gun or this kind of movies is that Postal has a very, in a way, dirty, cynical, realistic undertone. That you have that kind of feeling, it's not so far away from the reality, what you actually see, and Postal breaks all the taboos you shouldn't do in a movie, like with shooting children, animal abuse, like all this stuff, but of course on purpose. I think it was time to show like a lot of that rules and a lot of the censorship rules make no sense. Mm-hmm. You can show like in Hostel or Saw like people getting like hacked in pieces for 90 minutes and nobody cares, but you shoot one children and you're like X-rated, and one child, and it makes no sense. And for me it was, I think, important to show that absurdity of that rules.
I heard, I read in an interview, perhaps this is true, that you were interested in doing a Grand Theft Auto movie. What would your take on Grand Theft Auto be?
I think Grand Theft Auto would, the main point of why Grand Theft Auto turned into that cult big success, I think was also the violence, and that it was really realistic, the whole approach. And of course we have tons of violent realistic movies. So I think you have to be like, if you make some movie, you have to go away from that idea to do a tentpole PG-13 movie, because then you have like Bad Boys or Transporter or this kind of movie coming up. I think it needs the violence of like a Reservoir Dogs. It's really brutal, and of course then with that approach you don't make $100 million box office movie.
Right.
You make a 20, 30, $40 million box office movie, but I think it would make more sense to make a Grand Theft Auto movie like this.
Games and movies don't have a very good history of getting along, because games, like video games based on movies, almost universally are very poorly received. And movies based on video games don't tend to be very well received, as I'm sure you've experienced. Do you think it can actually get to a point where, you know, they can sort of coexist better?
It's let's say it this way. It is also, if you see the budgets of the video game based movies, it's not like the budgets Marvel gets for the comic book films. And all the big Marvel comics getting turned into $150 million movies. What means they getting the perfect treatment from the major studios if they're coming out as a tentpole movie. So it's easier for these movies also to totally outperform and to make $100–200 million on the box office in USA. And the video game based movies, they are more like that secondary kind of Hitman, Alone in the Dark, or this kind of Resident Evil. They were not like movies where you have that feeling the studio is really behind that movies.
Why do you think that they don't get the budget?
Yeah, because they don't believe in it. And this is the thing, the absurd thing is that the studios are, it's all mathematic, yeah. So they see the performance of video game based movies, and they see that almost no video game based movie ever made more as $60–70 million box office.
Right.
So they are not willing to spend more as $25–30–40 million to make that movies.
What did you think of Transformers? How would you have done Transformers differently?
No, I like Transformers. I think it was good. I think only that it was not only his credit. You know, it's like this kind of Transformers movies. You have so many people working on the movie, and it's so CGI, stunt, action driven that I don't think that on the, let's say, the best scenes of Transformers that he actually was on set. To be honest, it's a totally different thing. And for me, where I bashed Michael Bay it has nothing to do with, I could bash also Brad Ratner or whatever. Yeah, so I picked him out as this typical Hollywood absurdity in a way, because I think like tons of his movies he made would be maybe better if other directors would have that budget.
Right.
And I don't think that whatever, if it's a Martin Scorsese or if it's a young guy like Zack Snyder or something, the guy who did 300, yeah. If you give him $200 million to do Pearl Harbor, I think there would be something coming out what is better, as this was what Michael Bay did.
You know, what advice do you have for someone who is, you know, looking to get a career in movies, and like what, you know, how should they, you know, go about?
Well, get rich in another industry and then use your profits to make movies, you know? So like a Bill Gates, look, he could do movies whenever he wants, and he could give a shit about the audience. I'm a guy who wants success. I want that people see the movies, and as a young filmmaker, if you want to turn into a filmmaker, I think the worst thing is if you're not looking at the market. Yeah, so, but right now, how the market turns, my only advice would be clean shoes in the studios till you get a studio movie, but don't shoot an independent movie because you will never get any distribution going.
So either get a job in the catering truck for Universal and then work your way up.
Yeah.
Or go to school for business, make a bunch of money, and then make movies, or win the lottery and then make movies.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way to...
Yeah, this would be my solution. The only advice I would do, if nothing works, and if you really have to do your own movie and you want to make your own movie, make something what is really edgy. Make something what is like so far over the top in whatever. Like edgy means like critical, violent, funny, whatever. There are a lot of different edges, basically. But don't do something where people think this is only a bad-made TV movie in cheap. You know, because then you gain nothing as a filmmaker. To do something what is completely, let's say, different, and what is your own thing, is better to do, because then people start at least talking about you. Not that you make money with that movie then, but you can get maybe some kinds of name recognition, or the people talk about you and you get festival invitations, and from there you have it maybe easier to make another movie.
When you're online and you're bashing Michael Bay and you're saying things, like he's signed that petition 2,000 times or something, is that something you actually truly believe, or is that just really trying to like draw people's attention to how Michael Bay perhaps isn't as good as people think he is?
No, I think that look, everything happened. What in the last few weeks happened,
right,
was also made to get more attention for Postal. And we did the Vern Troyer Indiana Jones spots. I did the General Patton spots. I did the Michael Bay bashing and everything. And I think this kind of totally absurd humor, what it is, right? So I emailed also to Michael Bay's attorney, wrote me, and I emailed him back, you should have a little more humor, because you cannot take it totally serious, the whole thing. And but it shows his personality, that he takes it totally serious, shows that. And
everyone's taking it totally seriously. Like the whole internet is.
Yeah, but look, if you see what the guys writing in the internet, like not everybody, but a lot of people, then you feel this kind of that they missing the message here.
So what you're saying is that your marketing campaign was a postmodern take on a marketing campaign, and people have missed the point entirely.
Absolutely. With the whole Michael Bay stuff, a lot of people jumped onto the bandwagon. I was in various TV shows with it, from CNN to MTV, whatever. And I fly tomorrow to New York and have 3 more days of press there. The New York Times has today almost a page about me, So the question is, it was in the end good that I did it, but it is of course a shame that a very controversial movie like Postal is not enough.
Yeah.
So that you have to do this kind of publicity stunts to get more attention is kind of a shame in a theatrical landscape where you have every weekend the same fucking movies coming out, right? It's nice if you have an Iron Man, but it's absurd if you have an Iron Man and you have a Hulk and you have a Kung Fu Panda and you have a Speed Racer and Indiana Jones and Narnia, and you have only movies like this and nothing else anymore. Then the whole thing, I think, turns around into a threat, because then you feel like, what the fuck is going on? And if I see now, for example, that a movie like Indiana Jones or Kung Fu Panda are like official running in the Cannes Film Festival, and a movie like 1968 Tunnel Rats, what is now, we have 2008, it's 40 years, Bobby Kennedy dead, Martin Luther King dead, it was all 1968. So if you make a movie like this in a year like this and you're not getting into Cannes, and you get like Kung Fu Panda in a festival like this, then I think something is wrong, because then it looks like that the studios took over everything. They took over the festivals, they take over the art house screens, they take over the commercial screens, they take over all the TV the TV shows, and it's totally absurd.
It's not necessarily because you don't like them or their movies, it's because you want people to see your movies for what they are on their own merits and not try and compare them to something that's made for a huge budget in Hollywood, right?
Exactly, and this is the point. Like, if you compare In the Name of the King with Lord of the Rings, of course it's way worse, and it's like Lord of the Rings is way better, right? But why they don't compare the Golden Compass with Lord of the Rings and bash it to the ground, or why they don't compare my movie with the Golden Compass or BC 10,000 or tons of other movies that came out after Lord of the Rings that were kind of epic or bigger. And then if you would do this, then maybe In the Name of the King would be actually decent, or maybe even better as the Golden Compass, right? So, but if you get always trashed because you failed in getting close to the masterpieces of a genre, You know, so it's like with Alone in the Dark. It's a creature movie with Christian Slater, and of course Tara Reid is not good, whatever, but the CGI is good. There's a lot of good action scenes in it. Stephen Dorff is good, and besides Tara Reid, all the actors are okay. So the question is, of course, it's not Aliens, but I know tons of other movies that came out in the last 10 years with creatures and with people running away from creatures. And I think Alone in the Dark can compete with a lot of that movies and is not worse.
There's such a rabid fan base online, and then people react poorly to them, and you get vilified online. But then you're able to take that and turn it around into positive marketing by getting yourself out there. By, you know, going up on YouTube and, you know.
No, I know, but
saying,
the thing is, it's my only chance are good DVD sales and on the movies, yeah. So, and I will do everything what I can do to drive the DVD sales up. And
is that where most of your profits are coming for these days?
Absolutely, it's like 60% of the income is DVD, and then 40% is TV, theatrical, video on demand.
So very little is actually from the box office?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what you've wanted to do since you were age 7, you know, is to make movies. And you're there and you're making movies. But, I mean, how does it sort of feel when you get such negative responses like that? Like, is it...
Yeah, it's a constant pressure point and struggle. And it's not something where you, let's say... you don't think that, yeah, great, you know, like, especially if people look at the movies and they think the movies are all the same. What is bullshit? House of the Dead has nothing to do with The Blood Rain, has nothing to do with In the Name of the King. Totally different movies, totally different genres. Even if they are out based on video games, it's totally different. And I think it is kind of, yeah, what should I say, annoying if the people don't see movie by movie and they don't give the movies a shot and say, okay, the guy worked 1 year now on this movie, we should also like give him the respect to say, okay, we like or we don't like that movie because of, and not like, oh, another Uwe Boll movie, what a piece of shit, you know, and not even looking at it. And if you go online and you read about like the anti-Boll petition, whatever, or on IMDb, I think when I surf, I see tons of people that are actually proud that they never saw a movie from me. Why an 18-year-old idiot from Minnesota feels that it's positive that in every multiplex from next Friday on are only 3 movies running on 15 or 20 screens, and that no other movie gets screened at all. You know, this is a thing what I think is like, it has nothing to do with a negative review. If somebody doesn't like House of the Dead, I totally understand. You can bash that movie to the ground, you know. But we made a zombie movie based on House of the Dead, the video game, a primitive, cheesy butcher movie, right? So this is the thing. I never tried to do No Country for Old Men to make it out of a House of the Dead. You have to see also what the movies are. But to be even proud that there is a boycott against the movie or that the movie is not getting screened at all is different as you're happy if a movie tanks. If I wouldn't take it like and take it out there and like get it out of my moods, like in answering or also hitting back, then I maybe would eat it all and I would be very, very depressed, you know. And I feel it's always better, this is the way I handle problems and I shoot movies and I run my business, is it's better to talk about it. Yeah. You know, it's better to get rid of it in a way, and then in the way you're getting over it, and so that you have still your normal life and you can focus on the real important things. You know.
Well, thank you very much.
See you soon. Bye. Bye. And go to Postal wherever it's running. It will be in Vancouver, in Toronto, Montreal, in Chicago, New York, LA, Denver, Tucson, and Austin. At least in that cities, you can see Postal May 23, so check it out.